Good evening and welcome everyone to the Ravenswood City School District Governing Board meeting of September 12th. I will open the meeting at 6:02 p.m. And I'll begin by taking roll call. Trustee Nunes. Trustee Shabomahin. Here. Trustee Tavera.
Present.
Vice President Bloom.
Here.
And I myself am present. We have quorum. Moving on to item number 2, which is the approval of the agenda. Before we start, I'm gonna pull a couple of items. We're gonna pull item 7A. We're gonna pull item 7B. Do we have any additional questions or comments regarding the agenda?
I need to pull item 7K.
7K. Any other questions or comments? As I see none, I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda minus item 7A, B, and K.
I make a motion to approve the agenda. I'll second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries 4-0. Before we begin with the resolutions, I will start by saying that we have speaker cards in the back left corner. So if you wish to talk on any item that is agendized, you can grab a speaker slip from Maria. And the order of how we're gonna do things with the resolutions is the board will entertain a motion for the item. We will read the entire proclamation. Then we will open up for public comment, and then we will vote after public comment. Each speaker is given 2 minutes. And we will begin with item number 3.
Through the chair, we have one speaker for agenda item number 3.
Okay, so I will entertain a motion for item number 3, which is the consideration to approve resolution number SY 25-3, National Hispanic and Latinx Heritage Month in the Ravenswood City School District, September 15 through October 15.
Through the chair, I make a motion to approve item number 3.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I will second.
And through the chair, we may actually have students or anybody from the schools to recite the resolution. I'm not sure where are they here? Gabe, do you mind supporting me? I'm not sure. Oh, very good. Welcome.
Start reading.
Yes.
Whereas National Hispanic Heritage Month and Latino, and Latini Heritage Month in the United States are observed each year from September 15th to October 15th to celebrate the histories, cultures, and contributions of Americans whose ancestors came from the Caribbean, Central, North, South, and American, and Spain, and where areas the month serves as an important reminder of how much strength we draw from our indigenous Afro-immigrant roots, as well as our values as a nation of immigrants. The month includes independence of the several Latin American countries, including Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, Mexico, Chile, and Brazil. And the Latini community is exceptionally diverse and includes indigenous and Afro people from throughout the Americas. And the Latinis communities comprise the largest racial or ethnic group in the United States, with the largest population living in California, and represents 82.8% of students in Ravenswood City School District. And members of Latini communities have made countless contributions to the United States and economy and culture, serving in all the branches of armed force as dedicated public servants, as leaders in education, healthcare, business, and entrepreneurships and professions, and the heritage celebrations provides a wonderful opportunity to highlight the diversity of Latina community and its many rich contributions to the Ravenswood School District. Ravenswood City School District has an important role to play in educating students and the larger communities about the diversity of the Latino, Latina, Latini community and its contributions to our local community, the state of California and the United States of America.
Thank you so much for reading that. Can you introduce yourself to the board, please?
My name is Luis Nava. I'm a student of Cesar Chavez Ravenswood Middle School. I'm eighth grade.
Thank you. Before we go for a vote, I believe we have a speaker.
Yeah, through the chair, we have Maura Omen for agenda item 3.
I think four.
Oh, for the next one.
Is it for 4?
Can I add just some additional information? So along with our eighth grade student for Cesar Chavez Ravenswood Middle School, Valeria, our diversity, inclusion, equity, belonging coordinator, along with Gabe, who is our community and outreach coordinator, supported us in revising this with input from several of our students at the middle school, as well as feedback from our families. So this took some time and really reflects the sentiments of our community.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Resolution carries 4-0. Now we will move on to item number 4, which is the consideration to approve the proclamation / resolution number SY 25-8 honoring Apollonia Great Uhila Moinlangi, known as Mamadi. I will entertain a motion to approve item number 4.
Through the chair, I'll make a motion to approve item number 4.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I will second.
I will read the proclamation. Proclamation resolution number SY 25-8 honoring Apollonia Great Uhila Moinlangi, known as Mamadi. Whereas Apollonia Great Uhila Moinlangi, affectionately known as Mamadi, devoted her life to uplifting others, especially children in East Palo Alto. And whereas Mamadi was a founder of numerous community initiatives, including dance groups, literacy programs, and the nonprofit Anamatangi Polynesian Voices, which champion Pacific Islander culture and community cohesion. And whereas her work at the Youth Development Center and a creation of educational and cultural programs had a lasting impact, bridging diverse communities and supporting youth development. And whereas her legacy includes global outreach efforts, such as providing aid after the Hunga Tonga Hunga Ha'apai volcano eruption and advocating for health and safety during the COVID-19 pandemic. And whereas Mamadi's contributions were recognized by community leaders and touched the lives of many, leaving a lasting imprint on our city and beyond. And whereas Mamadi, who passed away on August 10, 2024, is survived by her loving family, including her husband, Senta, her 4 children, and her 3 grandchildren. Now therefore be it resolved, Ravenswood City School District proclaims August 10th as Apollonia Great Uhila Moilangi Day. In honor of Mamadi's extraordinary contributions and endearing legacy of kindness and community service. So before we vote, I will open the floor if we have speakers.
Through the chair, we do have various speakers, and I'm gonna call the first speaker up, Papa Center. Followed by Shauna Uhila Moilangi.
Madam Chair and the board member, on behalf of Honorable Philly Malata Apollonia Fanana Henry Gray Uhila Malangi, I like to accept this proclamation on behalf of Anmatangi and Tiffany Hautau Philly Malata. Accept it wholeheartedly and with the hope that we're going to be working together for the benefit of the students in Ravenswood High School. Thank you.
Greetings, everyone on the board. It's been a difficult challenge for our family to deal with what's upon us. But I would be remiss if I didn't stand up here and tell you guys that I'm from 94303 East Palo Alto, California. And these things won't get in our way. Our moment for today, proclaiming, celebrating Mama D, is a celebration of diversity, strength, and unity of all our people. A lot of things don't always include race. It's just the energy and what we do. When we first moved here in East Palo Alto back in the 80s, I like to say it this way, but East Palo Alto was treated like the stepchild of San Mateo County. Our resources, everything we had to do, we had to fight nail and tooth. Mama D, Papa Center, tons of people in our community, Mama Sharifa, Mama Nobantu, Uncle Bob, Dr. Omo, William Webster, you name it. They've taken us to meetings to create policies and change, from education, Tinsley Acts, to everything that you can possibly think of. I stand here today to celebrate the fact that my family wouldn't be the people that we are, who we are, and continue to be without having to be a part of this community and also this district. It was a very challenging time growing up in the 80s here. But that being said, I wouldn't be the woman that I am today. I for sure wouldn't be the warrior that I am. I definitely wouldn't be the carbon copy of the people you're about to hear from that precedes me in this conversation today. I want to give thanks for the energy and love that Mama D gave us, that she continues to bring people together. I love to see this, and let's continue to fight for the beautiful children and families in East Palo Alto. Peace and blessings.
Our next speaker will be Tonga Victoria, followed by Genesis Hautau.
Good evening, Board President and our board members. My name is Tonga Victoria. I am a longtime resident and also member family to Anamatangi in the Uhilamailangi clan. 24 hours after San Mateo County declared loneliness a public health crisis, the first county in the nation to do so, 14 of us, 6 of which are in this room right now, completed and became certified in mindfulness-based substance abuse treatment, MBSAT. 3 months after that, in an MOU partnership that was approved in this very room with CCRMS, Anamatangi launched MBSAT for the 2023-2024 school year. Over this past school year, we were on campus once a week, sometimes 2 and sometimes more, committed to the development and advancement of our children. Although this was the inaugural cohort in San Mateo County to bring MBSAT, an evidence-based mindfulness practice, to our children, for Anamatangi, this was a continuance of 25 years of service to our most vulnerable and our most precious part of our community, our children. Since 1997, Mama D has led programs and initiatives, campaigns, and community conversations in her Lotofale around building healthy, safe, and academically sound learning environments. She was, is, and will forever be our North Star in how we interact and how we support our students, our families, and our educators. And lastly, on record, I do want to say that everything we do on this, from this point forward, everything that I do is in her honor. And I thank you, Ravenswood Board, for the continued celebration of the life and legacy of our Queen Mother. Thank you.
Can you hear me? Is it okay? Okay. Good evening, school board trustees. My name is Genesis Hautau, and I'm granddaughter of the beloved Mama D, founder of Anamatangi, and I'm the daughter of Leatoa Lisa Tiffany, the Executive Director of Anamatani. On the behalf of my mother, Leatoa Lisa Tiffany, who could not be here this evening, she has sent me this message. I want to extend our heartfelt thanks to the Ravenswood School Board for this beautiful and meaningful proclamation in honor of my mother, Mama D. It is deeply moving to see her commitment and passion recognized in this way. Mama D was never one to shy away from challenges. Her partnership with the school district, though not always easy and responsive, but was driven by a profound love for this community and an unwavering belief in this potential of our children. She knew that a strong bond between the community and the school system was essential in creating a brighter future for all of us. While she is no longer with us, I believe Mama D's legacy will continue to inspire and encourage us to bridge the gaps that exist. Her hope, and now ours, is that we continue to work together to have those tough conversations and to ensure that every child in our community has the best possible opportunity for success. Thank you again to the Ravenswood School Board and Superintendent for this honor and for your continued commitment to making sure her vision lives on. Let us carry her spirit forward, not only in celebration of her, but in action as we work toward a better future for the generations to come. Thank you.
Yes.
To the chair, our next speaker will be Maura Omen, followed by Jacob Burgess, and then Omar Habhab.
Good evening, Chair. Good evening, Chair, Board of Trustees, Superintendent, and staff. My name is Maura Omen, and I'm the Executive Director of Youth Community Service. On behalf of the YCS family, we express our deep sadness on the passing of Mama D. We are so grateful to Mama D for her immense love and fierce advocacy for youth in our community. She was Mama D to everyone. We will miss her dearly and also know that she has left us with a clear mission and legacy to continue her good work. The last time I met Mama D was right here with Superintendent Sudaria on July 30th. Looking back on that meeting, the words of Mama D were profound. She shared with us details of the decades of advocacy she has led for children in this district. She reminded us of how our time is short and we need to continue to show up for our children. She celebrated the community we are creating for our children and the importance of the Ravenswood City School District promise. The part that I quote now is, "I find joy in who I am and the communities I am part of. I know and celebrate who I am and where I come from." This is the profile of an Ravenswood City School District student that Mama D worked so hard to continue to support. Mama D embodied this promise and showed up for the generations of children in our community. May Mama D continue to guide us in our work. My deep condolences to the Ohila family and my gratitude to each of them for sharing Mama D with all of us. Thank you.
Hello. 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 My name is Jacob Burgess, and I recite this piece in the spirit of Mama D. We are the black and brown youth that run and play through these streets. We are East Palo Alto, baby. Don't forget the E. We are the gardens, that's the G. Flowers label all our streets. I am your brother up the block. Our mission keeps our souls in sync. I am the gardener here to garner our community's needs, like more opportunities for the kings and queens that look like me, that look like you, and that look like you. Needs like more resources for the youth, more gyms so we could hoop, rec centers with free food and career opportunities and open mics too. We are those kids from vicious systems that broke out, brave enough to choose different routes. We could have been like our peers when things went south, but the God we serve just wouldn't allow it. And now we are that peace that you feel, Mama D, since you finally found him. We are the faith of a mustard seed that lifts up mountains. We are the water in the fountain of youth that leave even the eldest elder spirit in tune. We are the elephant, the mammoth, and the mastodon swinging in the room. We are the light that shines bright behind the truth. And if you look into that mirror with your conscience clear, if you did your best to really feel and hear me, then you will all see that we are you. Thank you so much, Mama D, for everything that you've done. And I want to keep living in you. Thank you.
Hello to the Board of Trustees, and Superintendent. My name is Omar Habhab, and I'm a team leader with City Year. And I'm just here to first share my condolences to the family of Mama D and also show my appreciation. I didn't have the opportunity or privilege to meet Mama D, but I do have the privilege to work with so many people who were inspired by Mama D to commit their life to service. And that's just a testament to who she was as a community leader and an advocate. And I'm sure that the EPA community is going to continue to carry on her legacy. And we hope City Year can continue, contributing to the work that she started. So thank you.
Through the chair, that concludes our speakers.
I'll open up for board comments.
Through the chair, I'm afraid to speak because I don't want to start the waterworks going. So I'll try to keep it short. But I do want to formally express my condolences. See, here we go. Formally express my condolences and love for the family that is here today, the community members as well. Mama D was extremely special to me personally. She was extremely special and loved in my household. So not only am I talking for myself, but I'm also speaking for my husband, Olatunde, and my 4 children who felt her love in various ways. But I think before I start rambling, I think the only thing I really want to share is even though this life, I think we're blessed to experience a number of special people who come in and play special roles in our lives. And I think you get a handful of like the ones that are just like truly special, the true gems, the ones that somehow feel like your sister, your best friend, your mama, your auntie, and your granny all at the same time. That just have a piece right here. That just know how to love you and support you no matter what's happening. And I think that's something Mama D, I would guess, did for all of us. She knew how to reach us in a way that made us all feel loved and made us all feel cherished. And I think in terms of my experience, it didn't matter if I saw her every day or if I saw her once every 6 months. Whenever I did see her, the way she would touch you or she would touch me or hug me, you knew the love and the support was there. I literally wouldn't be at this dais today without her support. And that's a literal, not even a figurative, it's a literal. I wouldn't be up here today without her. So on behalf of myself, my family, I just want to again say thank you, Mama D. Thank you to the family. We love you. I love you. And I just feel blessed to personally be impacted by her legacy and to be able to be in this family and community, which has grown and developed and just blossomed into, I can't even imagine what it was before she came here, but to see where it is today and to know it's because of people like her and the work and the time and the effort and the love she put into it. It's just a really special thing to witness and be a part of. And so, yeah, I'll stop the ramble. Thank you. And thank you for this proclamation today, for putting this on the agenda as well, to the other trustees and superintendent.
To the chair, also want to echo what's already been said. I want to thank the family for sharing her with us, because you didn't have to, but you also kind of had to because of who she was and the calling that she had on her life. And so I thank you for sharing her with us. I consider myself her grandson, and I would say like I'm her Miko grandson, you know? And I'm just so thankful for who she is. And I also want to point out that today, 6 years ago, we lost another leader in our community, Dr. Faye McNair Knox. And I know OEPA celebrates today as Dr. Faye Day, but I can't just help but think of the memories as we're honoring here, Mama D, thinking about all the times that I sat in meetings where I got to see Dr. Faye and Mama D like go at it, not with each other, but go at it to solve problems for our community. It was a sight to see how their minds worked, how they were driven and compelled by, driven by compassion and to serve our community. It was a beautiful sight to see. To know Mama D was amazing. To know the Gila family has been amazing. To know the APV family has been amazing. And like has been said, I wouldn't be here and who I am as a person if it wasn't for people like Dr. Faye, for like Mama D, who impacted my life, who sometimes took my ears and set me on the correct path and corrected me with love and being very tender. And I think of people like Dr. Faye, and I think of people like Mama D, and I think of them and I liken them to Queen Esther in the Bible, because I grew up in church. You know, I read my Bible where she stood in the gap, where they stood in the gap for a group of people, their community. Though Mama D's community didn't all look like her, she's like, I'm gonna stand there in the gap, because if I don't, maybe deliverance comes from elsewhere, but who knows if they were called for such times. And I truly believe people like Dr. Faye, Mama D were called, were equipped, though they weren't the most equipped, you know, and had maybe all the gifts and talents, they were equipped. And I'm so thankful to the family that you shared her, and we're gonna try our best to honor her legacy, and just so thankful. Thank you.
And you that are not private that are involved in finding a role that is
Mama D's Family Papa Center. I had the opportunity, like Maura mentioned, to see Mama D a few days before she passed.
Check. It's not working.
But I wanted to build upon what Trustee Tavera mentioned about her ability to be able to stand in the gap and fill needs. When I think about birth date and the date of transitioning, we often don't think about the dash in between. And the dash is what is most significant because it's how people live their lives. And Mama D's dash isn't a short one. It runs wide and deep. And I remember our last visit with Maura, the joy she expressed, the encouragement, as if she was going to continue to be by our side forever in person. She left me with the encouragement to continue to persist. And for that, I'm truly grateful.
I'm gonna, bear with me. It has been, a really hard year for my family. So I want to start by saying it's okay if you need help. If you need someone to talk to, there's services that are in the community. If you're dealing with something like grief, it's always important to talk about it and not to deal with things by yourself. I wrote a speech with my mom, just because I was really struggling with what to say and I didn't really know how to express myself. And so, this is from me and my mom. Mama D has been a part of my life, since I was born. She helped my family and my older sisters when they first came to America. Growing up with Mama D and Papa Senta required 3 things, I believe. 1 was tough skin, 2 was selflessness, and 3, the most important, was love. Mama D was really hard on me growing up. She required growth and was never satisfied with reaching the bare minimum. I believe she knew what she was molding me for and wanted to push me to be better. She led by example. Her life was dedicated to service and serving not only her local community of East Palo Alto and San Mateo County, but also her Pacifica people. Thank you, Papa Senta, Shauna, Michael, Tiffany, and Squeaky for sharing your parents with us. I can only imagine the sacrifice it took on your family to share your parents with our community. To Mama D, thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your courage. Thank you for your strength. Thank you for your work. Thank you for your joy. And thank you for your legacy. I hope you and Cynthia know that your legacy lives on through all the lives of the young people you've mentored. My seat and this work is a testament of it. Papa Cynthia. Hey, I have don't know no. Malo hongawe. Kai ki ai hanga hi lea e au ki he whakamalo. He ngawe o ke whai ki e tau tamai ki pepehe ki e tau district. Ki familia ne kotoa. O ko whawhita e ki he eiki, he omi ha family ofa. Tau he wā, moi tokoni ki he tau kainga. O ko mate he ofa atu ki a tangi o tō, pei he ai hanga hi mea, o ko mo whia ma o tokoni, o ko ama ma o pe anu. Thank you to all the community members that came out today. Thank you to my board members. Thank you to this district, our superintendent. And with that being said, I will move on to the vote for item number 4, which is the consideration to approve. There's already been a motion on the floor, so we will vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The resolution carries 4-0. We will present. this proclamation. Okay, moving on to item number 5, which is closed session. Before we go into closed session, if there's any members of the public that wish to address the board on any matters that will be discussed during closed session, now is your time. As I see none, we will go into closed session at 6:42 PM. Thank you.
Si me permiten una. Take a picture.
open session at 7:51 PM. And I will report back on action items taken during closed session. For item 5A, there was discussion. For item 5B, there was discussion and action which was taken with a 4-0 vote. For approval. For item 5C, there was discussion. Now we will move on to item number 7, which is the consent agenda. We pulled item 7A, B, and K. For item number 7A, we will table that item as we do not have enough quorum to vote on it. And now we will vote on item 7B, which is the consideration to approve the August 22nd, 2024 regular board meeting minutes.
Through the chair, I'm going to.
You cannot.
Exactly. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve item number 7B.
Thank you.
I second.
Thanks. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. All abstain.
That's me.
Motion carries 3-0 with 1 abstainment from trustee Shibbolani. Now we move on to item number 7K.
I just pulled because I don't work for CMI, but there is the Ravenswood Wellness Partnership, which my current employment CHC hosts, which is mentioned in the contract, so I will abstain from this vote.
Through the chair is a recusal or an abstention.
Okay.
Okay.
I think there is a date.
All right. I will entertain a motion for item 7K.
Through the chair, I make a motion for item 7K.
Thank you.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. All abstain. And we have 1 recusal. So motion carries 7-0, with one recusal, Vice President Wu. Thank you. All right, we will go back to the top, item number 7, which is a consent agenda. I will entertain a motion to approve item number 7 minus item 7A, B, and K.
I'll make a motion to approve item number 7 minus A, B, and K.
Thank you. Do you have a second?
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries 4-0. Moving on to item number 8, which is report of action. We already did that. It should be earlier. Moving on to item number 9, which is from the floor. If there's any members of the public that wish to address the board on any matters that are not agendized, now is your time. As I see none, we'll move on to item number 10, which is board reports.
There is an event coming up on Saturday at CCRMS called Ignite Peace, EPA, that many community members will be at. And so please come join us. It'll be a day of fun.
Any other board reports?
Yes, to the chair, I just wanted to report out that last Friday, September 6th, in my capacity as a parent, actually, I attended a cafecito at Bellhaven because my daughter proudly goes to Bellhaven, and I just wanted to share that I had a great time. Was able to tour the school, see a lot of the inner workings of the school, portable city that is there. And see what my daughter gets to do on the day-to-day is really fun. Got to even snap a picture of the food truck, the menu that she's eating every day. Because every day when we ask her what she eats, she's like, I don't like it. And that's because my daughter's really picky, just being very honest. And she's like, but she likes pizza day. So we're good with that. She likes pizza day. But she says, I eat my fruit. Yeah. What was that? No, she doesn't. She does. My daughter does birria, not pozole. I wish, but no. But it was beautiful to see. I got free donuts and coffee, and engaged with a lot of great parents, and we had a great turnout. So I just want to give a shout out to Bellhaven, to the staff that are here, Miss Masuda. Gabriel was there, and there was a lot of other great staff. It's exciting to see the parents engaged and involved. And yeah, I'm really excited and just, yeah, my report.
Awesome. Do we have any other board reports? So I see none. We will move on to item number 11, which is our superintendent's report.
Very good. We always start with our promise to our community that we work on each and every day by each and every one of us, and that's to create a transformative educational experience for our students.
Sorry,
There's something.
forgot the
Oh,
resolution.
resolution, no, board policy.
Board policy. Good catch. All right, I will entertain a motion for item number 10A, which is a consideration to approve board policy revisions presented to the board for second reading and action.
I'll make a motion to approve item number 10A.
You, do I have a second?
I second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries 4-0. Moving back to item number 11.
Wonderful. Our Ravenswood promise with our learner profile as we're working towards developing our goals. We'll be sharing that with the community to get feedback on our goals and more importantly on the how we will achieve our goals to make sure that our learner profile becomes true. But I just wanted to focus on some of the more broadly, the work that we're doing around our learner profile every single day. And so under joy and community, it is our 22nd day of school. And so, someone do you mind pulling to the next one? One more. And here I just wanted to showcase just over the last couple of weeks, us building relationships, creating relationships between student and mentors, establishing mutual accountability, carrying out day-to-day services. You can see in the top left, our health aide and our district nurse supporting the family with the student to get their eyes checked. At the bottom, in the middle there is our, oh gosh, why am I blanking out on their position? It's Miss Greta. Mental health coordinator. I want to say school-based mental health, but it's our mental health coordinator. And then on the top right are our students and staff from our Little Stars, where we provide services to students who are in preschool. And again, just getting a sense of how we're creating this space to be warm and welcoming. And you can see the bulletin boards and as well as our brand new mural at Cesar Chavez Ravenswood Middle School is just about complete, but to the naked eye, it looks beautiful. We wouldn't see what else needs to be done, but Skate knows what else needs to be done there. And we're just grateful for his contribution in beautifying our campuses. In regards to also making sure that we have joyful communities, last Wednesday, we across the district came together to enhance our skills in leading effective professional learning communities. And we believe as part of a Ravenswood promise, this is to help us create joyful collaborative environments where we really want to lean in one another, supporting each other and creating structured meetings when we do come together that's really focused on student data, and that we are really talking about how to plan for student success. And then around having a growth mindset and approaching our learning with the growth mindset, just a couple of the main big priorities that we're focusing on is obviously how our students are doing in reading. And at the last board session, we were able to review our ELA assessment. And I just wanted to highlight what we discussed. One of the key highlights was how our fourth grade students excelled last year. They're now fifth graders this year. And they made significant improvement, which is greater or equal to 15 points, moving towards distance from standard. And so now our fifth graders in both ELA and math across the district show some great potential that if we continue to make this significant growth, by the time they leave Ravenswood, they will be at grade level, which is fulfilling our Ravenswood promise. And then you can see who our fourth grade team members were last year who helped make these student gains. I wanted to acknowledge them. And as we look back last Wednesday at our lagging indicators, which were our state assessment results, we want to make sure that we have a baseline of how students are doing and to be able to tailor our lessons and future planning to support students to accelerate in their growth and or maintain grade level and above. And so every child had beginning of the year assessments administered, and really grateful for our reading intervention teachers, small group instructors, and other staff who do provide the literacy support, especially for our younger students who are just getting used to school and getting used to the routines in the classroom. So they really supported the classroom teachers, ensuring that we have close to 97% of our students completing the beginning of the year assessments, and you'll see the results shortly. And that was one of our first grade teachers at Belhaven, Miss Brito. One other piece that we'll probably hear a little bit more about, but just wanted to highlight that this week we implemented our universal tier 2 time using our beginning of the year assessments as well. And we started universal tier 2 time for our 1st through 8th grade students. Kindergarten will start September 23rd. Our assistant director of teaching and learning, Karen, mentioned that our itty bitties in kinder still need to get used to being students. So we'll have that structure in place in a couple of weeks. And then also just really appreciative of our instructional staff and partners who have been receiving intensive training to support with implementation. And I believe I didn't change the pictures on this slide, but if you go to the next slide, Solomon, it's the same photo, but these are photos of our middle school students who need the most intensive support. But they are our striving readers, about 40 students who are receiving Ignite virtual tutoring during their universal tier 2 time. And the goal here is to ensure that no middle school student from this point forward need the foundational skills and should be, so that's our goal. They also at the middle school have 2 SIPS classes during universal tier 2 time that started this week. And I want to do a special shout out as well to not only Emily Edbert and Nicole Attard, who are our reading intervention teachers at Castaño and Belhaven respectively, but also to Kendra Gragg, who's an intervention teacher, tier 2 teacher at the middle school, who have really been championing this work to provide the intervention, to set up the class rosters, and to make sure that we are successful in the launch this week. And moving into our last disposition around us discovering and exploring with an open mind. You know, we have day-to-day training that, not day-to-day training, there's annual training that we do each year. And I want to emphasize, which I did this past week to staff in the Monday memo, how we don't want to take these trainings lightly. And even though they're mandatory, I encourage the team to please approach them with understanding that this is crucial information and that no matter what role, whether it's superintendent to paraeducator, classroom teacher, kitchen staff, we all must take these trainings very seriously, no matter our role. And so we encourage staff to approach this material with an open mind, recognizing their importance, and upholding and sharing these expectations and fostering the accountability. So our goal is for all of these trainings to be done by the end of this month. And again, these are annual trainings. And then lastly, our schools have been demonstrating or providing opportunity for our students to explore and discover with an open mind. And most recently, I had the opportunity to be able to experience the circuit at the Cesar Chavez Ravenswood Middle School, where they do provide virtual reality simulation, and they recently provided one for 9/11. And so Miss Gianna Baldini's class, 2 of her classes went into the circuit and with approval from families experienced what 9/11 might have felt like through the experience of a survivor. And it was appropriate for the age, well developed. And literally you're in the Twin Towers, you're not going up the elevator, but you step off into the elevator on the 64th floor. You see the survivors' portable cubicle. There's simulation of like the papers falling down outside. You have an experience of being at the top of the Twin Towers. And it makes you, if you've never been to New York, as if you have visited Times Square and visiting the tall buildings. But it just extends the learning experience from just hearing the stories of 9/11 to actually really getting a sense of what it might feel like. And when you have the experience of what it feels like, there's more empathy, and definitely had the kiddos engaged. You had students spinning on their stool, looking up and down, but it's an example of what we're trying to do in regards to new experiences to expand students' learning.
Thank you. Do we have any questions or comments from the board? As I see none, we will move on to item number 12, which is the fall vital signs presentation.
Thank you very much. Good evening, President Latu and trustees and Superintendent Sutaria. I am Sarah Stone, the Assistant Superintendent of Teaching and Learning, and I am happy to be here tonight. It's nice to see all of you. And tonight we are going to do our beginning of year vital signs report. And I'm joined here by my colleagues, Joy Shen, Austin Batson, and Karen Schreiner. So we'll each be taking a part of this. So tonight we're going to talk about what we do 3 times a year, which is basically checking our educational health through vital signs. You'll notice that tonight we are going to be a little bit more succinct than we have in the last couple of years. We're going to be very, very focused, and we're going to focus specifically on our 3 big rocks that we have developed this year in support of meeting our promise, our Ravenswood promise that Superintendent Sudaria mentioned earlier. Our focus this year is on language and literacy. We want to make sure that all students are learning to read. We want our students in kindergarten to know their letter names and sounds by the time that they leave. We want our 3rd graders to be at grade level. And we are also focusing on doing this with the science of reading. We're also focusing on language development across content and across all grade levels. Attendance, also a huge focus. We know that if students aren't coming to school, it's going to be very hard for them to learn to read. And so our focus is to get to at least 95% attendance rate for all of our students and focus on decreasing our chronic absentee rates. And last but not least, we need exceptional talent to do all of this work. And it is our goal to continue to recruit and grow the talent that we have across our entire system. Today, we're going to talk about some of our data that we've been looking at more at our high-level satellite data level, our map level data, and really just talk about where we are right now at the beginning of the year and what we plan to do to address data. And schools and home office team have been looking at this data and working on creating action plans. Again, we always start with our promise. And this is our promise to our students and our families. And I'm not going to go over it because Superintendent Sudaria just did. Again, these are our big rocks: language, literacy, attendance, and talent. So we have clear goals for this year. I'm not going to go through each and every goal, but while we're looking at our vital signs, I want us to be thinking about these are our end goals, and we're progress monitoring towards these. When we are progress monitoring throughout the year, we're looking at this level of data, but we're also looking at street level data, which is teachers looking at student work, doing more intense assessments using the SIPS mastery assessment, and things like that. As a community, though, we want to make sure that we're giving high level information across the year and sharing with you what we're doing about what we see. So to start, at the board study session, we did have a chance to look at our CASP data. And while it did indicate that we are making some progress, meaning that students are, for the most part, growing a year in literacy and math, it's not at a fast enough rate, and we know that. We have work to do. We continue to be working on supporting our students to accelerate their learning. Superintendent Sidaria highlighted a little bit around universal tier 2 time as one of our supports. And we are continuing to focus on using professional learning communities, PLCs, and planning, and really looking at that important street level data that students are things that students are working on daily to see where we need to take action and where we need to grow, make our plans based on that. So we're continuing to do root cause analysis. One thing I do want to highlight also is that one of the things that we noticed with our data is, and again, it was highlighted today, as our 4th grade from last year did exceptional work, and they accelerated their learning exactly the way we want to see across our system. And so we're doing root cause analysis to see what is it that happened in that 4th grade, and it was 4th grade across our district. So what was going on in 4th grade and what can we replicate? So I just want to highlight that. Again, we're continuing to do some things that we've started, and we're really doubling down on our universal tier 2 time by bringing in a universal English language development time into that time. I'm going to hand it over to Austin Patson.
Good evening, trustees. As Sarah mentioned, we have a little bit of an abbreviated conversation around our CASP scores for tonight because of the board study session that we had last week, but this will be a quick recap of our CASP scores for this past school year. These were the CASP scores that were administered in the spring of 2024. And what we can see on the screen right now are 3 years of CASP data from this past spring. So 1 year ago, from 2 years ago, and from 3 years ago. And what this is showing us is the distance from standard, where we want our students to be, where our students deserve to be, is at or above standard. So on this graph, that would be something that was going up. Last year, we saw that our students were an average in ELA of 120 points below standard. This was a slight decline, around 9 points further away from standard, which means that our students experienced just a little bit less than 1 year's worth of growth. 1 year's worth of growth would have been no change here. So it would have been negative 111 here to negative 111 here. Our goal last year was to increase, to accelerate our students' learning and move closer to standard by 15 points. We did not experience that on average, but as was mentioned before, we had several student groups, especially our 4th grade and some other student groups as well, experience that growth and meet and exceed those goals. It's not shown here, but 8% of our students met or exceeded the grade level standard, which is that benchmark, as opposed to looking at this growth metric. We have a similar visualization here for our math data. Again, we are looking at 3 years of data, data from last year, data from 2 years ago, data from 3 years ago. And when we look at our average math results, we see that our students on average experienced just a little bit more than 1 year's worth of learning. So this is exciting. It's moving in the right direction. It's not enough. It's not accelerating it enough, but this is showing movement in the right direction. Similarly to ELA, our goal was an average increase of 15 points closer to standard. We did not meet that, but there were student groups and grade levels that did meet that. 6% of our students met or exceeded the grade level standard. And this year we are piloting a new K-5 math curriculum, which we're very excited about, and almost all K-5 teachers are engaged with this pilot. Now we're looking at our beginning of the year iReady results. So this is our baseline levels for the year, and we're just going to look at reading right now. The math results are in the appendix if you're interested. This bar on the right side shows our beginning of the year results for this year. That is me messing up the clicker. And these three bars show our results from last year. So this is just kind of a comparison. This was last year's beginning of the year, middle of the year, and end of the year. And what we saw was that as the year went on, students in this dark red category, which are the 3 or more years below grade level, decreased as we hope and as we expect. And students in the other categories expanded as students moved out of this deep red into one of the other categories. When we see our beginning of the year results here, we see this red bar jump back up. That does not show a summer slide, or that does not show learning loss. That just shows a student at a new grade level. If you were a 5th grader reading at a 5th grade level, then you moved up to 6th grade. The way I Ready looks at it is it's expecting you to read at a 6th grade level, but you were just got into 6th grade. So it's kind of that bar being raised. It does not indicate a summer slide or any type of learning loss. Additionally, because we changed how which grade levels were taking the assessment, there are some other expectations that changed there. But in general, this is what we expected our beginning of the year iReady data to look like. Our goal for this year is that the median percent growth of our students is 120%, which would be about 1.2 years worth of growth. And that takes us to Ms. Karen Schreiner.
Thanks, Austin. Hi, everyone. I'm Karen Schreiner, the Assistant Director of Teaching and Learning. I'm going to talk a little bit about our foundational literacy skills data through our assessment DIBBLES, which stands for Dynamic Indicators of Basic Early Literacy Skills, and the Spanish equivalent, given that Los Robles is lectora. Last year was our first year giving this assessment in TK through 1st grade. This year, we've expanded it to 2nd grade, which gives our 2nd grade teachers and other educators, including our interventionists, the time to sit one-on-one with every child and hear what they can do as readers. So it gives very actionable data in the moment for every kiddo. So this year's data does include 2nd grade compared to last year, which does not. On a high level, our baseline results this year, at the beginning of the year, are relatively similar, with a few more students scoring well below, and a few less students scoring at or above. Our goal at the end of this year is for 60% or more of students to be at or above benchmark. Some pretty ambitious goal to increase proficiency significantly. And one thing I want to note that's important in understanding the data is that TK is not able to score well below in the red at the beginning of the year. So even if a TK kiddo knows 0 letter names, they'll be represented here in the yellow. So that's something to keep in mind when we see the middle of the year data. And as we move forward, as Sarah mentioned, we do have some good plans in place in terms of street level data to be gathering data every week, which we're already looking at in terms of how our students are progressing. And at the middle of the year, we look forward to sharing our next round of assessment so we can see students growing. And I will hand it over back to Austin.
It's all right. Last slide for you right now is about our students' progress towards reclassification. And this is based on their LPAC, which is their English Language Proficiency Assessment of California. It's the assessment that all of our multilingual learners take every year. Our goal for this, our goal is to increase the number of students who are moving up the LPAC. So this past year, we had 29% of our students who increased their placement. They moved from an overall 1 to an overall 2, an overall 2 to a 3, or a 3 to a 4. In some cases, we had some students who jumped 2 levels, or even some students who jumped 3 levels, which is extremely exciting. We're very proud of those students. We had about 55% of our students who maintained their placement, and about 15% of students who decreased in their placement. And so these are students who we'd really want to check in with and see and understand what is going on with their language development and kind of invest in them and understand what happened there a little bit more. Our goal for this year is that we increase, I am not good with this tonight. that we increase the percent of students who are moving up faster. The more students, the quicker we can help students score better on the LPAC, the quicker that we can help them develop their language, the quicker that we can get them to reclassification, which has all types of impacts on their high school curriculum, which classes they can take, their college readiness. And to support this, we have added some dedicated ELD time to our UT2T intervention time each block. And with that, I will pass it to Joy Shen.
Thank you, Austin. Hi, trustees. I'm here to talk about our second big rock, which is attendance. And as many of our team members shared tonight, attendance is a key lever for student growth and outcomes, both from a community and belonging standpoint and also from engaging in grade level instruction. And so our data indicates we are making some progress on student attendance as we come out of COVID recovery, but it'll still be a key focus area for us to return to pre-pandemic levels. And we'll be doing this through a combination of partnership with families, data and reporting systems, as well as the ways that staff are using that data to engage with students and families more closely. This chart shows the average daily attendance across the district for the last several years. You can see where the pandemic hit, and we used to be around 94, 95% average daily attendance, and that dropped to just under 90% in the last several years. That number is increasing, and several student groups, including our differentiated assistance groups, have seen even greater increases in average daily attendance. But we are still looking to return to that pre-pandemic level of 95% or higher. We're off to a pretty strong start this school year. Kids are excited to be back in classrooms, and we're at about 94% right now. But we want to keep building on that momentum as we continue progressing through the school year. Similarly, this chart looks at chronic absenteeism rates over time, and you can see the number of students who are chronically or very chronically absent has been increasing since the pandemic, although that increase has been stabilizing. Currently, we are about last year at 37% chronic absenteeism rates. And our goal is to have a significant decrease in that rate this year. So a decrease of 3 percentage points or more is considered significant by the state. So we'd hope to see under 34% chronic absenteeism, and ideally much lower than that as well. So our goal is to focus on attendance to improve both average daily attendance rates and those chronic absenteeism numbers.
All right, and I am going to take the last big rock, which is talent. We know that by developing our staff, we are going to drive student outcomes and growth. And our goal this year is to give, to set goals with every single staff member and to ensure that we're giving actionable, regular feedback to all staff. We have focused on principals having schedules that ensure that they have time to walk through classrooms daily, and our incredible executive director of human resources has created an amazing walkthrough tool. I say that every time I see her, that we're using this year to streamline how we're giving feedback to our teachers. Also, our coaches, Karen Schreiner is working closely with our coaches to develop their skills, continue to develop their skills on providing feedback. And we're continuing to hold professional development experiences across the district to support understanding around language and literacy, pedagogy, best practices around belonging, behavior, et cetera. So what we're hoping is that we will start to see that the majority of our teachers are growing in their ratings on their evaluations. And so what we can see here is from last year, the growth in terms of ratings, the decrease in terms of ratings, and no change. Again, we want all of our teachers to grow in their ratings wherever they are. So, as we've talked about, we're using our data to inform our practices. We're making sure that we're consistently progress monitoring our data at a street level, at a map level, and then using our lagging indicator satellite data to plan ahead. We're focused on ensuring that we're making time in our schedules to give feedback, as well as to do a lot of intentional planning and support of our students. And we're doubling down on our universal tier 2 time. One thing we did not mention yet, but that I'm excited about, is all of our education specialists who work with students with IEPs are also going to be, they were all trained. We have paraprofessionals being trained right now and using SIPs, and they will also be using SIPs so that our students are not just getting tier 1 instruction and tier 2 instruction with SIPs, but we're at some points tripling the dosage of their SIPs work. And we're continuing to develop our talent. That's continuing to be a huge goal for us. One thing I did mention before is we're setting goals with all staff, not just our teachers, not just our management, but principals are actively working to set goals with all of our classified staff as well. And we're working on honing leaders' skills on giving that feedback. And we always love to end with our promise. We believe that we're going to meet this promise by focusing on these 3 big rocks. And thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any questions or comments from the board?
Thank you. Through the chair. You guys asked us, I asked you guys, like, what do you want me to ask you? So I'm going to ask you from slide 3, like your next steps. When you say site leaders will share their site level data with their staff and community over the next month, is that already planned? Is that going out? When is the first one that we can attend? What does that look like?
I think each school will have a different probably way of doing it. But of course, at school site council and ELAC meetings, that's the first place that would happen. And I would always encourage families and community to attend their SSC and ELAC meetings. Site leaders might have other ways and ideas about how they might do that through cafecitos and other mechanisms. The goal is really that we want our community to really know our data and to see our data. It is our job to improve, and we need our community to hold us accountable to that.
Thank you. I have another question. I don't know what it is right yet. I'm still forming it.
Okay. Well, while you're thinking, through the chair, thank you so much for this presentation. Really enjoyed it. Also enjoyed our study session the other day. And so I'm trying to remember if we addressed this there at the study session or not. But I'm wondering about, we talked about it a little bit, but just talking about engaging families in, like, not just understanding the data, but then also working towards the goals, right, for their children. And so just wondering if there are some explicit strategies we're using there. What I think I recall is integrating more qualitative or narrative data on, like, report cards or progress reports in parent conferences. But then are there other things? So, like, when we have this meeting or a cafecito or something like that, then are there strategies, that then we're also sharing collectively with community members and families, but then also very specifically, Mrs. Tavares, for you and your child, this is where they are, this is where we want them to be in a month or 3 months or at the end of the year, and this is what we're doing and this is what you can do.
I'm going to let Joy answer this. This is her department.
Thank you for the question. We are really excited to be focusing a lot on how we can increase our partnership with family and community members this year, especially on academic data. A couple of things that we've already done is we've done trainings with our family outreach coordinators at each site so that they are now equipped to understand student data, whether it's state testing or iReady or other school level data, and that they're able now to have those conversations with families. So more point people at each site who can speak to student growth over time. We'll be doing a 3 times this year, a repeat of our school canvas experience where families and community members are invited to school sites to walk through classrooms and experience learning as a Ravenswood student, share their feedback, and hear from school leaders about how they can engage more proactively in their students' education. And we will also be having another round of Ravenswood Promise community events the end of October. More details to come soon. But at that opportunity will be a really great way for every member of our community, no matter what roles you hold, to see how you can take part in accelerating student learning for our students. So those are just some of the ways that we're working on that this year.
I do want to add one other thing to that, and that is some of our teachers have been engaging in student-led conferences. I know specifically at Los Robles, that's something that they work on. And so that is also something that we want to look at growing across our district.
Through the chair, thank you so much for that response. And I think that is absolutely essential. When I just think about the holistic approach to evaluation, and to find, not only prioritize the joy of learning, but then also finding joy in the process of where you are and achieving goals and understanding the work you have to do to reach a goal. And so as deep as we can go with involving the students, right, being in partnership with the students towards those goals, as well as the families, as well as community organization, which is where I think we really shine in that particular area. The more we can do, and I know it's difficult, right? Because families are busy, or some can show up, some cannot. And so just trying to think of, for those who might not be able to participate in the things you just spoke about, like what are those other touch points we have, with families? And you get it, and I know it. And so, thank you.
No, I appreciate that question. And I think we need to continue to talk about that and think about it.
Through the chair, I just want to kind of add a comment to what I'm hearing. Through my own personal experiences, I remember I didn't go to schools here. I think I mentioned this before. I went to a well-resourced school in West Menlo Park, Atherton, Las Lomitas, La Entrada. And I say that because I wasn't well-resourced at home, but I went to a school where it was well-resourced, and I showed up to those schools and they automatically looked at me and they said, this kid's Latino, English is his second language, so we're gonna automatically put him in, ESL. And I actually spoke pretty good English, but I remember I was automatically just taken out of some classes because I was labeled as a English learner. And I remember having to be in classes and ESL trainings and things like that when all my other peers were in like extracurricular activities, that I wasn't able to participate in, and it hurt me. But I remember testing out of ESL because I was they realized, hey, he is proficient in English, and so he doesn't need to be in these classes. I remember being able to take like world studies because I have never been able to take that until like 5th grade, and I loved it. Until this day, I love history because of that. But those were milestones that I remember myself, that though on a test or a paper, like I would probably might be in the red, but testing out of those were milestones I realized were like there was growth that people could witness. So just thinking strategically about how we can celebrate like these victories that aren't, the numbers, the reds, and so that these students know like I am making progress and changes. Beautiful, and thank you for this presentation. Appreciate it.
Thank you for sharing that. I do want to just highlight, we are going to be doing a celebration for all of our students who are classifying, thinking that it will be in December at this board meeting. And we'll also do a little presentation on our supporting our multilingual learners. But thank you for that.
Thank you. So I think it was just one thing is I know that you guys talked about UTT2 and tier 2 time, and I've definitely, my kids have come home and said, oh, there's tier 2 time now. And, so that is, I know that's happening across campuses and in all classrooms. So I appreciate that and just hope to see more growth through that and experiences through that. I also want to just touch on talent because I know we talked about almost everything else. Just, what does it look like for the principal schedules to have dedicated daily observation time and feedback time built in? Is that for classrooms? Is that for programs? Is that for, what does that look like?
Yeah, that's a great question. Principals have a big job and they do a lot throughout the day. It has been the goal this year that they have dedicated time every day on their calendar that is marked for classroom observations. And that part of that time, because we have this great walkthrough tool, is giving feedback, immediate feedback to teachers, whether it's through an email or whether the email comes to them and then they have a conversation with the teacher afterwards and schedule that time. This year, it is our goal that principals are in classrooms at least 30 minutes a day. And I know that might sound like a low number. And I do want to remind everyone that the principal's job is a really big job. They're also working on figuring out how to that's not the word, distribute more of their role to others on staff. And that also requires us supporting and training staff to do that. So ultimately, the goal, honestly, would be that at least 2 hours a day are dedicated to that. But we're starting really at that 30-minute. And many of our principals spend a lot more time than that daily.
And then I think that's the last thing.
I was just going to share that Sarah did ask all the principals to submit schedules. So they do have a template where they dedicate specific time they're going to be in classrooms. It's just, what does it actually look like on a typical day-to-day? And we're going to be in the process of determining how well that implementation of getting into classrooms is actually going. And then we actually need to make sure feedback is being provided on a regular basis. That's where we make the shifts.
Yeah. And I think that goes back to the last thing I want to say about talent is that, one of the things we said during our study session is we want to make sure the right adults are in front of our kids because that's what our kids deserve. So, I know all of you here know that, and I want to just make sure that our community knows that that's an important part of our role as a board to make sure the right adults are in front of our children, making sure that this is the place that they feel safe, that they are taken care of. And that is a priority for our board. And so I just want all of us to know together that we want the right adults in front of children, and that's always going to be a priority. And if it's not happening, then we're going to keep doing what we need to do to make sure that the right adults are in front of our kids. So thank you.
Yeah, I think my biggest comment has already been answered by Vice President Plume and Assistant Sue. As always, I just wanted to circle back with the relationship between the principals and the staff to ensure that we are making progress from last year. We were a little disappointed in the June, but looking better. So good job, everybody. I also say trustees will be working towards a site visit over the next couple of weeks. Don't be afraid. Come in peace.
I'm very excited and I would love to walk with you if you want to let me. Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
All right, thank you. Moving on to item number 13, which is the consideration to accept the FY 23/24 unaudited actuals. Item number 13A, which is the consideration to accept Kip Valiant's unaudited oh, just kidding. We're going to 13.
Good evening, trustees. I'm Reese, the Director of Finance here at Ravenswood. I'm here today to present on the 23/24 unaudited actuals. There we go. If there's one key takeaway to take from all of this, it is yes, we are running a deficit in 23-24. And as we have stated many times over the last, is it 3-4 years now, this is all part of our plan. We have built reserves using stimulus funds. And this is just the first year of planned deficits that we are planning to run until we have our leases kick in the next few years. Great. So to give the brief overview of our unaudited actuals, first, just looking at our revenues decreased by 0.9 million, largely driven by our stimulus funds lapsing out. There's a couple other details there, but I'll address that further on in the presentation. Some notable changes. The main one to always point out is that we'd love to thank REF again for their continued support, particularly in increasing their contribution above and beyond what they had done previously to support the district with the talent initiative while we are working to lease the flood site and 2120 Euclid. In terms of expenditures, our expenditures increased by 6 million, largely driven by a meaningful increase in our SPED students, a move of our drivers to full-time positions, costs relating to construction, which is the major one, and our new partnership with City Year. And the last thing here is really on the total balance. So as mentioned before, our deficit for 23-24 is 1.5 million. This is all part of the plan.
Sorry, if the principals and administration staff who are no longer part of the vital signs want to leave, no pressure. Get some rest. Sorry, continue.
Well, through the
You're
chair,
looking at me, I'm looking at you, and I'm like, okay.
through the chair, I think we should ask for a motion first.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's not agendized. So we
Just
can't-
kidding.
Sorry, continue.
No problem. I hope I don't put anyone to sleep in here. Again, this is all part of our plan. We have built our stimulus funds up and have spent them appropriately so we could build up a basically funds for a rainy day. And this is a part of all district staff working together to fully maximize our grant funds and allocating funding strategically. And again, I can't stress this enough. This is not a structural deficit. This reflects the use of our one-time funds to bridge the district until the flood site and 2120 Euclid leases kick in. So this is just the slide we always like to show, which is all of our revenue by sources. The main things to look at here are one, on the stimulus. As you can see, our stimulus decreased by 7.3 million. And that is because we have fully exhausted our stimulus funds, which is great. The other thing here that is good to note is that we actually received $1.5 million in interest, which is in the LCFF and basic aid line. This is actually very interesting because typically we receive roughly a fifth of that. It's a reflection of the county controller's ability and the returns that they've received in the 23-24 school year that we receive such a large interest amount. We're not quite sure if this is something that we can bank on. However, it is a very nice one-time surprise to us. We will be continuing to research that in the future, but essentially this contributed to our revenues being higher than we were initially anticipating. The other thing to notice here is that in our other state, we began receiving the full amount of our ELOP funds, which is roughly 2.6 million a year. This is a very important grant to our long-term sustainability here. We are continuing to use it on partnerships, I believe, with the Boys and Girls Club. And I believe we are also using this towards City Year as well. So the second slide here on revenue just goes again to stress basically what we have done over the last couple of years. So from fiscal year 21 onwards, we have built a large reserve, leveraging our stimulus funds, as you can see by the green line up top. And 23-24 represents the first year of our deficits. As you can see, the red blocks start trending down as we dip into our planned deficit spending and dip into our reserves a little bit. Moving on to expenditures. The main story here on expenditures is really around construction. So as you notice here on classified salaries, they increased. As you currently know, Bellhaven is under construction, Los Robles is under construction. And getting all these schools ready to go just doesn't happen out of thin air. It represents a lot of work on behalf of our MOT team and getting all the sites ready, cleaning, sweeping classrooms, making sure things are vacuumed, making sure that there's everything is ready to go for the first day of school. So I would like to just throw a quick thank you to all of our hardworking MOT staff as well. The other area to look at here is our services and other operating expenditures. This is where City Year exists. This is where we have some costs for our SPED contracted staffing. So that relates again to our increased SPED students. We also had a one-time IRS payment and some brokerage fees relating to the leasing of 2120 Euclid. This is one of our favorite slides here, which is expenditures. And basically the long story short here is that our expenditures are continuing to increase. So just looking on the right-hand side here, our total enrollment fell by approximately 5% last year. However, our SPED enrollment increased by 25%, which is a large portion of our increased spend. As you can see, that gray area in the middle is growing. Overall, we have seen roughly a 74% increase in our per pupil expenditure since school year 1920. And the last slide here is just on our multi-year spending and saving plan. So again, if I haven't said it enough already, our larger plan has been to build up reserves over the last 3 fiscal years. And then in order to maintain our expenditures and keep spending high over the next couple of years, we are going to dip into those until our leases kick in. And that way we won't be running a structural deficit and rather just a temporary one. And we believe we have more than enough reserves to make that happen. With that, I conclude my presentation.
Thank you. Do we have any questions or comments from the board? As I see none, I will entertain a motion for item number 13.
I'll make a motion to approve item number 13, consideration to accept the unaudited actions.
I second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries 4-0. Moving on to item number 13A, which is the consideration to accept Kip Valiant's 23-24 unaudited actuals.
Good evening again, trustees. As you may know, we have an obligation to oversee our 2 charter schools. We believe after looking at their unaudited actuals from 23-24 that they were able to meet their fiscal obligations and that they were able to end the year with positive reserves.
Do we have any questions or comments from the board?
Through the chair, I do have a question. There was something, first of all, thank you for this report and thank you for this language. This is not a structural deficit. I now know what to say to my husband when I go over the budget. But now to the question, this is not a structural deficit. Sorry. My question was about a point in our unaudited actuals about the increase by 25% in special education.
Yeah.
And so I'm just thinking about that, right, and how to plan for that, because I know the reason why we don't have a structural deficit is because of all the planning we've done with the reserves and the saving and all of this. And so I'm just wondering, I don't know if there's how we're planning for that, right? If there's some formula or, algebraic expression where you can account for the possible students who come in or leave. Like, I don't even know how to do that math, but I think I'm trying to see a comparison. Can we see HIPs as well as in item 13B, EPACs, like increase in special education costs? Do they have that included?
Through the chair, I don't believe that is part of the documents that are required by the state. We can go and ask the 2 charter schools, and I'm sure they could provide that information for us.
Okay. And I'm asking, I think, number 1, for planning purposes, for that special formula, like how do you account for that unknown. And then I think because there's certain obligations that we have, right, versus charter schools or others. Yeah, and just wondering about, yeah, all of that. And I don't know if we want to, I know I don't want to prolong the discussion. But I would like to have the discussion, and maybe that's a conversation with Dr. Eager later. Thank you.
Through the chair, I can just make a few quick couple comments here. One, you can never really plan ahead, right, for the number of special education students that you have. Again, we have an obligation to take on any and all students, which we love and appreciate. One of the things that's interesting regarding SPED students is that we're actually governed by the Maintenance of Education, MOE, which means that we are required basically to spend an equal, if not greater amount on special education students from year to year, unless there is an exemption. So the interesting for us is that actually multiple years back, there was a year where our special education spending was very, very high. And that basically threw everything off. So our MOE levels were actually incredibly high, right? So even though we did not have as many SPED students, the per pupil amount for those students was mandated to be quite high. Now, we've worked with teaching and learning to lower that over time. So basically the hope right now, right, is that as the MOE lowers, basically it's going like this and our students are going like this. Eventually we're going to hit like a point essentially where it's starting to even out a little bit more. We're still working with teaching and learning right now to figure out, how to better forecast for this, how to better prepare. But the long story short is it's not making that sizable of an impact overall towards our current plans. And based on the reserves that we currently have, we believe that there's still basically enough reserves for us to continue on this path, even if it keeps happening.
Thank you.
I will entertain a motion for item 13A.
The chair make a motion to approve item 13A.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries 4-0. Moving on to item 13B, which is the consideration to accept Aspire EPAC's FY 23-24 unaudited actuals.
Good evening. Similar story. We have an obligation to oversee our charter schools, and based on what Aspire has submitted, we believe that they're able to meet their fiscal obligations for 23-24, and also end the year with positive reserves. Thank you.
Do we have any questions or comments from the board? I will entertain a motion for 13B.
I'll make a motion to pass 13B.
I'll second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries 4-0. Moving on to item number 14, which is the consideration to approve resolution number SY 25-7, adopting the GAN limit.
I will make a motion to adopt the GAN limit, to approve the resolution.
I second.
All in favor say aye. Wait, sorry.
Resolution 25-7, resolution adopting the GAN limit, Ravenswood School District, normal no increase of limit pursuant to GEC. Whereas on November 1979, California electorate adopted Proposition 4.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries 4-0. Moving on to 15, the consideration to approve resolution number SY 25-6, board member excused absences. I will entertain a motion for trustee Nunes.
I will make a motion to approve a resolution for SY 25.
I second. Resolution number SY 25-6, board members excuse absences, whereas Education Code 351208.5 authorizes each member of the governing board.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries 4-0. The next regular board meeting will be held on September 26, 2024 at 6 p.m. Open session will be at 6:45. I will adjourn the Ravenswood City School District opening meeting at 8:56.